Hello everyone. In this video, I'll show you how to build a sales dashboard using Google Sheets and Looker Studio step by step. By the end of this tutorial, we will have a fully interactive dashboard with KPIs, charts, filters, and a clean layout that you can use for reporting or in your portfolio. Please note that this is a beginner level dashboard, so everything will be explained in a simple and practical way. I'll skip some advanced settings and features to avoid overwhelming you. This is perfect if you are just getting started with Looker Studio. Let's start with the data. Here I have a sample data set in Google Sheets. It includes transaction ID, date, product, category, quantity, unit price, gross amount, country, state, sales representative columns. You can download a copy of this dataset using the link provided in the video description. Now let's move to Looker Studio. You can search for Looker Studio in Google or go directly to lookerstudio.google.com. Click Create Report, and here you can add a data source. Select Google Sheets, select your spreadsheet, worksheet, and you can leave options unchanged for now. Then click Add to connect your data source to the report. Once connected, make sure to check the field types. To do that, go to Resource, Manage Edit Data Sources, find your data source and click Edit. Here on the left you have your columns and on the right you have column types. Ensure that date column has a date type. Gross amount is currency dollar, and the same is for unit price. Also change country column to geo country and state column to geo subdivision. Once finished, click Finished and close the window. When you open a new dashboard, you will see two layout options, freeform layout and responsive layout. Freeform layout allows you to create a fixed size report. It's ideal for desktop users and for printing. Responsive layout is flexible and automatically adjusts the report to fit any screen size. It's very convenient if you expect users to view the dashboard on mobile devices. For this tutorial, I will leave the default layout as it is. On the right side of the screen, you will see three main panels: Data, Properties, and Filter bar. Data panel lets you preview the data sources you've added, including all the columns and their types. It's useful for quickly checking your data before creating charts or controls. You can also add new fields or a parameter. Properties panel appears only when you select a chart or another element on the page. It contains two sections: Setup section, where you can configure dimensions, metrics, and filters, and Style section, where you adjust the visual appearance of the element. And Filter bar appears above the canvas. You can use it to define new page level filters or view and manage filters that are already applied to the page. Now let's start building the dashboard. In Looker Studio, you can think of three levels of settings. Report level settings, and you can configure these in the Trim and Layout panel. Page level settings, these are available under Page Current Page Settings, or right-click Current Page Settings. And Chart level settings. To adjust these, select the chart and open the Style tab. It's a good practice to begin with report level settings to establish the foundation, such as page size, fonts, and colors. So Let me show you how to do that. Go to Theme and Layout, select Layout, and set the width to 1600 pixels. Set the height to 900 pixels. And this resolution fits most standard laptop and desktop screens. You can leave the rest as default for now. Then go to Theme. Here you can see predefined templates and you can select one of these templates or go customize and create your own template. I'll select customize option and provide my own settings. The changes you make here will apply to all elements in the dashboard by default. However, you can still modify individual elements later at the page or chart level. So let's start by creating a title. Select text and type Sales Performance Dashboard or any title you prefer. Then change the font size to 30 pixels and font color. Place the title in the top left corner. Now click Add a Control button and select Date Range Control. Place it in the top right corner. The date range control works based on the date field in your dataset. In my case, I have a column that represents the order date, so this field will automatically be used for the date range control. By default, Looker Studio applies the selected date field to all charts that use this data source. However, you can override this behavior in the chart level settings or page level settings. Now let's move on to creating KPIs. To do that, click Add a chart and select Scorecard. Select in the Setup tab, select Gross Amount as the metric and rename it to Total Sales Revenue. In the Setup tab, you can also configure a comparison date range. I'll set it to the previous period. This means that if your selected date range is November 1st to November 10th, Looker Studio will automatically compare it with the previous 10-day period, October 22nd to October 31st, and show the percentage change. This is very useful for quickly understanding trends over time. And the last thing is to go in the Style tab. I'll add a border shadow. Next, I'll copy my scorecard and paste it. But now in the metric field, I'll change the column to quantity and rename it to units sold. Now I change it to transaction ID, rename as total transactions, and the last one, gross amount, but in this case, I'll change the aggregation to average. And aggregation defines how Looker Studio summarizes your data. For example, sum adds all values from the selected column together. So if you have revenue values in multiple rows, sum will calculate the total revenue. And average calculates the mean value across all rows. It adds the values together and then divides by the number of rows. So when you choose average, Looker Studio is calculating the average value of that metric across your dataset. Now let's rename it to average order value. Next, let's add some visual insight. We will start with a time series chart to show sales revenue over time. Click at the chart and select time series chart. At the dimension value, select date. You can also enable drill down option, and this allows users to explore the data at higher levels, for example, switching from days to months and years, just clicking this button above the chart. And set gross amount as the metric and rename it to sales revenue. You can also add some optional metrics, for example, units sold, and show it in the same chart. But I'll disable this option for now. Also remember to turn off cross-filtering. This option allows you to filter the entire page by selecting a value in a chart. Since this functionality isn't needed here, I'll disable it. Now to make metric icons visible, go to the Style section and select Always Show for Chart Header. Now you will see icons to add optional metrics or drill down. So, and in the Style section, I'll show title and also make some chart adjustments. I'll disable the legend since I have the title here. And to visually separate the chart from the background, you can add a border or shadow, but I prefer a simple rectangle. It's more flexible and easier to adjust. So click Shapes and add a rectangle. Next, move it behind the chart. To move it behind, right-click, Order, and Send to Back. Remember to change the background and border color. You can also change border radius to 5 or 10 and add a border shadow. Now, let's add a bar chart to show sales revenue by category. Click Add a chart and select bar chart. In the Setup sections, change dimension to category. And in the Metric section, select Gross Amount column. You can rename it to Sales Revenue. Also make sure that the date column is selected at the date range dimension. You can also, in the sort section, you can decide which column to sort by. And I'll use the gross amount column. I'll also disable cross filtering. For this chart, you have several options like optional metrics and works the same way as in the line chart. You can add extra metrics to give more insights. And you also have metric slider. And this is a new function that allows you to filter the chart to show only values within a selected range. And let's try it. So click the optional metrics button above the chart, select the metric slider, and adjust the range. And now the chart only shows values within the selected range. This is very useful for metrics like sales revenue or units sold, where you want to focus on a specific range. And now to add a title, go to Style and select the title, Sales Revenue by Category. I'll also show data labels and hide grid lines. Now let's add a rectangle frame to separate our chart. And another useful chart is a pie chart. We will use it to show the revenue share by category. In the setup section, as the dimension values, select category and at the metric select gross amount. Rename it to sales revenue. Now, one important option is comparison calculation. This allows you to compare values relative to each other. For example, if you select percent of total, Looker Studio will show what percentage of the total revenue each category represents. This is very useful for presenting data not just as raw numbers, but as percentages as well. Remember, make sure that data type is set to percent when using this option. And other settings are the same as with the previous charts. Remember to disable cross filtering. And the last chart I want to add is a field map chart. We will use it to show revenue by state. In the setup section, in the fields, as location, select state column. And in the metric, select gross amount and rename it to sales revenue. To use a map chart, the selected column must be of a geotype. A plain string column won't work for this chart. If your column doesn't appear in the location field, go to Resource, Manage Edit Data Source, Edit, and make sure that your column is a geotype. Once that's done, you should be able to use it in the map chart. And map chart also has several styling options. First of all, let's add a title and disable Street View Control. And the last step is to add a rectangle frame. So now, to make the dashboard interactive, it's a good idea to add filters. We've already added a date range control filter here. Now let's add three more filters. Go to Add a Control, and here you will see different types of filters. The most commonly used one is the drop-down list. Select it and place it near the date range control. In the Setup section, change the control field to Category and rename it. You also have an option to display a metric next to each value. However, these can sometimes make the filter look cluttered, so I'll leave it disabled. And when you click on the filter, you will see the available categories. You can select all of them or only the ones you need. If you have many categories, you can enable the search bar. In my case, there aren't many values, so I'll turn it off. You can disable it in the style section. And to make the filter stand out visually, remember to add a border shadow. And now let's add two more filters for state and sales representative. The easiest way is to copy the first filter, paste it, and simply change the control field in the setup section. Now let's align them properly. Select all three filters, right-click, select Align and Middle. Then right-click again, Distribute and Horizontally. This will evenly space the filters across the page. And now the filters look clean, organized, and professional. Let's repeat the same for scorecards. And the last step is to add a line to visually separate our filter section from the chart section. And the last step is to rename your dashboard. And that's it. You now have a fully functional sales dashboard connected to Google Sheets and built in Looker Studio. If you found this helpful, consider liking the video and subscribing for more data and dashboard tutorials. See you in the next one.